Dear Nikon, please stop doing this to your lenses. Because every time I'm using my 28-400 and I have to go to switch it into manual focus, I remember that I can't. And man, is it annoying. I mean, this is a $1,300 lens and it doesn't have something as basic as an AF-MS switch? It just doesn't make sense. Wait, is not having an AF-MS switch really that bad? I mean, isn't it easy to just go into the settings and change the camera from autofocus to manual focus? First of all, yes, it really is that bad. And of course you can go into the settings and change your camera from autofocus to manual focus relatively easy. But the entire reason why lenses have AF-MS switches in the first place is because they make switching from autofocus to manual focus really easy. Which is really important for run and gun situations where you need quick access to autofocus and manual focus. For example, if you're shooting something really specific and you can't seem to get your camera to focus on it, you can switch into manual focus really quick to get the camera close, then switch back to autofocus to grab focus on that subject. Which is great when you're shooting a very crowded scene and your camera isn't focusing on the specific subject they want it to focus on. And with an AF-MS switch, you can do this so much faster than having to sit there and go into your settings, then change the manual focus, then get close focus, then switch back to autofocus. It's so much easier to just have this switch on hand, especially for me as a landscape photographer. Having that switch is huge. Since landscape photography requires you to manual focus all the time, being able to quickly go between autofocus and manual focus makes grabbing focus a whole lot easier. Especially since I shoot a lot of video with my camera. Having that switch is nice for using autofocus in video, but manual focus in stills. Now I know this sounds like a dumb thing to complain about, but for me in my professional work, it's small things like this that could be the difference between me getting the shot and missing it. But why exactly did Nikon do this? Because if you look at their older f-mount lenses, all of them had that AF-MS switch. But what changed from then to now that makes the newer, more expensive Z-mount lenses lack this crucial switch? Well, a big part of it has to do with market segmentation and how Nikon differentiates their different lenses. In essence, it's Nikon offering different features in their higher-end lenses versus their lower-end lenses to give photographers an incentive to move to the higher-end lenses. Back in the day, the two biggest features were aperture and image quality, and of course, there were others. But these two really stood out as the big reasons you get professional lenses. They could go as fast as f1.4, while the f2.8 fast zooms were the holy trinity, and the gold ring lenses boasted better image quality overall. But in 2025, Nikon segmented their higher-end lenses by calling them S-line lenses. These lenses have overall better image quality, with nicer micro contrast and even being sharper than their non-S-line counterparts. But if you've ever used non-S-line lenses, you'll find that they have great image quality still and deliver fantastic photos. However, one big change that Nikon made to their lenses is that they started offering non-S-line lenses with faster apertures, like the 35mm f1.4 and even a holy trinity of fast f2.8 zooms at a much cheaper price point. Which is amazing for photographers because now if we wanted to shoot with faster lenses, we don't need to sell our right kidney in order to afford it. Usually they're half the cost of the more expensive S-line counterparts and is far more accessible for all photographers versus just a few. But Nikon now has to find something to segment their lenses if their non-S-line lenses have solid image quality and fast apertures. And you know what they decided to cut? This stupid little AF-MS switch on the side of their lenses. I mean, what photographer is looking at the S-line lens and thinking, oh boy, I can't wait to buy this S-line lens for this AF-MS switch? Because in order to successfully segment your higher and lower end offerings, you need features that actually make a significant impact on the consumer to incentivize them to buy the higher end model. But spending 2 times the price of a non-S-line lens just to get the S-line lens because of the AF-MS switch isn't helping anyone justify the more expensive lens. Now, I'm not saying that I want Nikon to go back to only offering fast apertures in high-end lenses. It's really nice having all these fast lenses easily accessible. What I'd rather see instead are better features on the S-line lenses, like a clickable aperture ring, more function buttons, and other eye-catching features that put S-line lenses over the top versus hindering the cheaper lenses. Now, I understand that they need some way in order to segment their higher end versus lower end lenses, but I just don't think this is the right way to go about it. Having an AF-MS switch is crucial to a lot of photographers' workflows, and there's a handful of lenses that I own that I wish had an AF-MS switch. Just take a look at the Nikon Z 28-400mm f4:8 VR. This is a fantastic lens in literally every way possible, with solid image quality, a balanced build, and a stupid long focal range. But you know what this lens doesn't have? Is an AF/MF switch, and for a $1,300 lens, I can guarantee you they could have added it. And this lens, being my main telephoto lens for landscape photography, makes not having this switch so much more annoying. Now, something else I did want to bring up is that Nikon has implemented the focus ring to use as a control ring, and maybe they want people to focus on this instead. Which means that the AF/MF switch could be unnecessary if the control ring is what photographers want to use. On the non-S-line lenses, there's only one ring, instead of a lot of S-line lenses having two rings, one for focusing and the other for the control ring. But Canon actually came up with a really great solution to this by offering an MF control switch onto their cheaper lenses. This allows you to go between focusing and using it as a control ring seamlessly, while adding to the functionality of the lens overall. I can't believe that I'm praising Canon, but that's the truth, and something that I would love to see Nikon add into their non-S-line lenses. So please, Nikon, just add back the AF/MF switch and we won't have a problem. Or you can even add that MF control switch to add more functionality to these lenses. I promise you, no one is buying the more expensive lenses just to have an AF/MF switch. I just want my switch back on the 28-400mm so I don't have to cry every time I need to switch between photos and video. I swear it's not a big ask. But anyways guys, what do you think about this video? Do you think I'm over exaggerating, or do you think Nikon should add back that AF/MF switch to the cheaper lenses? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Anyways, thank you so much for experiencing the world with me today, and if you like this video, check another one out right here.